Admiral Krasitar of the Galactic Federation observed the small blue planet through the main screen of his command ship. His silver scales reflected the light while his 4 eyes analyzed the tactical data. "Complete report on the humans," he ordered, his deep voice echoing across the command bridge. "Primitives, sir," replied his science officer. "Discovered space travel only 78 planetary cycles ago. Rudimentary warp drive technology. Weaponry based on projectiles and low-level directed energy. Population mostly concentrated on a single planet with a few small colonies in their star system. Krasitar formed what his species considered a smile. And they dare refuse our generous invitation to become a protectorate of the Federation? Impressive. Activate standard annexation. Protocol. What Krasitar didn't know was that humans had a peculiarity that the Federation's intelligence reports had completely overlooked. While most species evolved for cooperation or specialization, humans had evolved for something far more dangerous. They had evolved to adapt, and to never, ever give up. General Helena Chen watched the Federation's transmission with an impassive expression. At 52, she had participated in more conflicts than she cared to remember, but never faced an alien threat. "So they want to annex us," she said, turning off the screen. "How long until their forces arrive?" 3 days, General, Lieutenant Rodriguez replied. "Their propulsion is more advanced than ours. We're outnumbered and outmatched technologically." Chen raised an eyebrow. "They think we're primitive?" "According to our intelligence, yes." The general's face lit up with a smile that would have made Krasitar reconsider his entire attack plan. "Then we have the only advantage that really matters, Lieutenant." "Which would be, ma'am?" "They have no idea who they're messing with. Activate Protocol Noah's Ark." Across Earth and its colonies, metal boxes sealed for decades were being opened. Technologies that humanity had developed but kept secret were unpacked. Soldiers gathered in underground bases. Scientists typed furiously in laboratories, hidden in the depths of the oceans and in lunar bunkers. Humanity was preparing, not as a species discovering interstellar warfare for the first time, but as a civilization that had spent its entire existence preparing for this moment. "Admiral," the sensor officer called, "we're detecting unusual activity on the planet's surface and its moons." "Probably panic," Krasitar replied, dismissing the concern with a gesture of his claws. "Or perhaps some pathetic evacuation attempt. We're receiving a transmission from the humans." "On screen." General Chen's serene face filled the screen. "Admiral of the Galactic Federation, this is General Helena Chen of the Earth Alliance. You have exactly 5 minutes to reconsider your decision to attack Earth and its colonies." Krasitar laughed, a sound like rocks in a crusher. "Or what? Human? Will you throw rocks at us?" Chen smiled. Not a smile of humor, but the kind of smile predators show before attacking. 5 minutes, Admiral. Don't say I didn't warn you." "Admiral, we're detecting—" "Wait, this can't be right." "What is it now?" Krasitar asked irritably. "Hundreds, no, thousands of energy signatures emerging from the dark side of the Earth's moon." "Impossible. Our reports indicate they barely can." The first wave didn't come from the missiles or cannons the Federation expected. It came in the form of small devices that simply appeared inside their propulsion, communication, and weapon systems. "Precision teleportation," Krasitar shouted. "They shouldn't have that technology for at least 3 centuries. "Project Quantum Leap is working perfectly," announced Dr. Lakshmi Patel, observing data on multiple holograms. "Sabotage devices successfully implanted in 82% of the hostile fleet." "And Project Cloak?" Chen asked through a screen, revealing now. "Sir, we're detecting a fleet? But from where?" "Around Earth, from what seemed to be the very fabric of space. Hundreds of human warships appeared. They were there all along, hidden not by some cloaking device, but by technology that bent light itself around them." "How is this possible?" Krasitar muttered. "The humans are primitive." "Correction," his science officer said, his voice trembling. "We thought they were primitive. The human fleet didn't move as expected. Instead of the organized formation most species used, Each ship seemed to operate independently, yet as part of a greater whole. It was chaotic, unpredictable, and deadly efficient. "Swarm Formation Alpha," commanded Captain Adama Singh. "Let's show the Federation how primitives fight when their home is threatened." Around the blue planet, Earth vessels moved in patterns that seemed random to the aliens, but actually reflected millennia of evolving guerrilla tactics and adaptation to numerical disadvantages. "We need to retreat and regroup," shouted Krazatar's first officer. Krazatar watched in shock as his fleet, which should have easily conquered this primitive world, was being systematically dismantled by a force that seemed to know every weakness in their systems. "How do they know so much about our technology?" he muttered. "General Chen," an elderly man in a lab coat greeted. "Welcome to the Guardian Archive. Dr. Nakamura, I'm glad to see our guests are being well cared for." The chamber opened to reveal an immense underground facility. Inside, dozens of aliens from various species worked alongside humans at advanced research stations. "Our alien contact team has been invaluable," said Nakamura. "Refugees and dissidents from the Federation who found asylum on Earth over the past 7 decades. "And the Federation never suspected?" asked Chen. "They never really looked," replied an alien voice. Untal, a scientist with blue skin and 4 arms, approached. "The Federation's arrogance has always been its greatest weakness. They saw your first rockets, your first spaceships, and assumed they were watching the birth of a spacefaring civilization. Instead," continued Nakamura, "they were observing a species that had learned the most valuable lesson." "Which is?" asked a young lieutenant. Chen smiled. "Hide your true resources until it's absolutely necessary to reveal them." The human ships maneuvered in ways that defied Federation logic. While most species prioritized self-preservation, humans seemed willing to risk everything for a tactical advantage. A damaged Earth cruiser, instead of retreating, accelerated directly toward an alien battleship. At the last moment, it didn't collide. Instead, it executed an impossible maneuver, passing so close that its energy field disrupted the alien ship's shields, while smaller craft attacked from behind. "What kind of strategy is this?" demanded Krazatar as his flagship shuddered from another precision strike. "Their tactics make no sense. They're not fighting to minimize casualties," his tactical officer realized. "They're fighting to win at any cost." In Earth's orbital command center, General Chen watched the battle unfold with grim satisfaction. "Status report!" "Federation fleet at 60% combat effectiveness and falling rapidly," responded a young officer. "Our losses?" "Within acceptable parameters, ma'am." Chen nodded. Acceptable parameters was a cold calculation, but necessary. Humans understood sacrifice in a way few species did, the needs of the many outweighing the needs of the few. Begin Phase 2. Across the battlefield, human ships suddenly changed tactics. Instead of attacking, they began precision jumps into and out of hyperspace. Jumps that should have been impossible, given their supposed technological level. Each jump lasted microseconds, just long enough to deploy what looked like small satellites around the Federation vessels. "What are they doing?" Krazatar demanded. "Analysis shows they're deploying some kind of communication device?" His science officer replied, confused. "This is General Helena Chen of Earth Alliance to all Federation." "Vessels!" Her voice came through on all frequencies, even the supposedly secure ones. "Your command structure has been compromised. Your weapons systems are under our control. Your engines will shut down on our command. You have one opportunity to surrender." Krazatar laughed, though less confidently than before. "Empty threats from a desperate species. All vessels, ignore this primitive attempt at psychological warfare and prepare for final assault." He gestured to fire the main weapon array. Nothing happened. "Engineering! What's happening to our systems?" "Admiral," came the terrified reply, "our commands are being overridden. The networks are—" "Sir, the humans are inside our systems, Dr. Patel smiled at her console, deep within Earth's cybersecurity command. "Operation Trojan complete. Federation battle network compromised. Executing selective shutdown." Around her, hundreds of specialists, human and alien allies alike, worked in perfect coordination. their fingers dancing across holographic interfaces. The beauty of appearing primitive, she mused, is that no one encrypts against threats they don't believe exist. Federation ships began powering down one by one, their weapons disabled, their engines silent. Only life support and communication remained active. A deliberate choice by the humans. "This is impossible," Krazatar whispered as his own flagship went dark around him. "No species could advance this quickly in secret. No species could coordinate this level of deception." "No species you've encountered before," came Chen's voice as her image appeared on his bridge uninvited. "Admiral Krazatar, perhaps now you'd be interested in discussing terms." The Federation admiral stared at the human general, in comprehension, giving way to a terrible realization. "You were waiting for us," Chen nodded. "Not specifically you, but yes. Earth has been preparing for first contact, hostile or otherwise, since we first looked up at the stars and wondered if we were alone. But how did you advance so quickly without detection? Our monitoring stations saw exactly what we wanted them to see," Chen finished for him. "Humanity learned long ago that appearing weaker than you are has strategic advantages. While your Federation watched our public space program, our real advancements happened in secret. Quantum teleportation, dimensional phasing, biomechanical integration, all developed and hidden, waiting for the day we might need them." "But why? Why the deception?" Krazatar asked, genuinely bewildered. Chen's expression hardened. "Because in our long and bloody history, we learned one truth above all others. Those who announce their strength invite challengers. Those who hide their strength survive." 3 days later, representatives from the Galactic Federation arrived at Earth's newly revealed orbital diplomatic station. The massive structure had been there all along, hidden by the same technology that had concealed their war fleet. As the Federation diplomats were escorted through gleaming corridors filled with technology that shouldn't exist, they finally understood their fundamental mistake. They had evaluated humanity based on what they showed the universe, never considering what they might be hiding. The peace negotiations were brisk. Earth demanded recognition as a sovereign power, not a protectorate. The Federation, still reeling from the technological shock, agreed with minimal resistance. As the treaties were signed, General Chen approached the Federation's High Chancellor. "I trust our relationship will be more equitable moving forward." The Chancellor, a tall being with crystalline features, nodded slowly. "Indeed. Though I must ask, now that your deception is revealed, what prevents others from seeing humanity as a threat?" Chen smiled, that predator's smile again. "Chancellor, what you've seen is merely what we chose to reveal under duress. Rest assured, our best technologies remain hidden." She leaned closer. "And should anyone mistake our desire for peace as weakness, they would do well to remember. You saw only what we wanted you to see. The question isn't what else we're hiding, it's why we're still hiding it." As the Federation delegation departed, Lieutenant Rodriguez joined Chen at the viewport. "Was that wise, ma'am? Implying we have even more advanced technology?" Chen watched the alien ships shrink into the distance. "Humanity's greatest weapon has always been doubt, Lieutenant. Let them wonder, let them question. Let them fear what might be lurking behind our polite smiles and open hands." She turned from the window. "Because sometimes the most effective weapon isn't the one you fire, it's the one your enemy believes you might have." The story of humanity's miraculous defense spread quickly through the galaxy. Some dismissed it as exaggeration. Others began re-evaluating centuries of observational data on Earth. But all reached the same unsettling conclusion. The species that everyone had dismissed as primitive newcomers to the galactic stage had been quietly watching, learning, and preparing for millennia. They weren't primitives who had gotten lucky, they were predators who had been patient.